Yo, it's your boy Jay Lip representing Thinking Out Loud podcast. Of course, you know who I am and you know what this is, but I gotta tell y'all, thank you to the Pit for being our first sponsor, for making us legit, for getting us these views, and for sharing the word with your customers and your people. We love you for that. Now, moving forward, I want to extend that same opportunity to anybody else out there with a small business or any type of endeavor that you're trying to share with the world. Let us know. We'll put you on Thinking Out Loud. We ain't talking about bread. We ain't talking about cash. We're talking about just helping others, helping for the culture. Let us know. Direct message, email, Skype, courier flyer, whatever. Just let us know that you want to be a part of this and we'll make it happen. Until then, think it out loud. You know what it is. Let's get it popping. Thinking Out Loud, we back at it, man. It's your boy Jay Lip. And of course, I got to introduce my co-host for the evening, D.Woods. What's good, baby? What you representing?
What's good, bro? Westside Detroit, man.
Ivo, what you representing, bro?
Southwest Detroit. All around Detroit, but grew up Southwest.
And then, of course, the special guest of this evening, Delora. Delora, what's good?
What's good, Jay Lip?
All right, what you representing?
Representing Michigan, but I'm in Ohio now, Cincinnati.
That Sin City. All right, this episode is going to be about interracial dating, interracial relationships, and everything in between. Do y'all feel that there is a pro or a con to interracial relationships? I'm going to start off with you, Ivo.
So, I don't think there's very much of a con. There could always be some cons in any relationship, right? So, everyone is different, but at heart, we're the same. So there's pros, of course. The cons I can only see is that people's how they view you in your relationship. That's what the con is from the outside. But pros, there's plenty of pros.
You're saying that the cons are basically the perception of others outside of your relationship.
Right, exactly. Because as far as the pros, black, white, whatever, for the most part, we're pretty much the same. It's just that, of course, there are some differences culturally, environmentally, etc. But as far as the inner workings of a relationship, a lot of times it's the same. It doesn't matter, either she's submissive or she's not, regardless of what race she is.
What?
Right? Submissive. He said submissive or she not. Let's go.
Right.
Delora, what you got to say about it,
when it
Delora?
comes down to it. So.
Wow. Okay. Thinking out loud, he just took me off guard with the whole submissive or not. I guess I don't know how to feel about that, but I guess that's also boils down into
how you feel. How do you feel about submissive or not?
That boils down into culture, especially in terms of how the male is raised and what the role of his woman is in his life, whether or not she's a housekeeper or actually his helpmate in the sense of being 50-50 in a relationship. But that's a whole nother conversation.
Now, Delora, I gotta ask you a question though. You said that depends on the role of his woman in his house. So you actually gave credence to what Ivo said about the submissiveness of the female in his relationship.
It's dependent upon what he was raised also, because
no, I'm with you on the raising part. I'm just saying you gave credence to the fact that as a female in a relationship with a male, you said that it depends on what his woman, like you give the ownership.
Yeah, because it's a woman. Well, I mean, my man. I mean, when you're in a relationship, you belong to each other, but in the sense of
okay.
Way to moonwalk. I like that. What role that person plays in the relationship and whether that person is below or equal to you.
So society-wise, D.Woods, what do you think about interracial relationships?
I don't really have any experience with interracial dating. I just don't see a reason to date outside of your reflection.
No reason. So you're saying that there's no reason, meaning the person that you decide to spend your time with from building a relationship with, if they're not of your race, you don't see the benefit of that?
I'm not saying that. To me, it just can't be Caucasian in my eyes. I can't see myself having children with a Caucasian woman or,
all right, I'm gonna let y'all know. That's it. Again, a disclaimer to all the listeners right now. The views and the opinions expressed on Thinking Out Loud podcast do not reflect that of the host, Jay Lip. I am here to have the conversation. However, I will be fact-checking what is said. And with that being said, D. Woods, you are infamous for jumping ahead on the topic. So I'm not talking about black and white women or African American and Caucasian people. I'm just saying interracial, meaning you can be black and Hispanic, or you could
But
be.
see, I only view interracial as white and black.
Why is that?
Mexicans are
Why is that?
Mexicans because Mexicans, they all derive from Africa too. Just like Dominicans, Jamaicans, Haitians, all the people from the islands,
But they would,
South America,
like,
they're all
their parents would view that differently, though, at the same time. Like, I do understand what you're saying, and I'm not necessarily disagreeing, but not everybody, black people tend to feel that way towards, different cultures, but different cultures don't always feel that way towards black people.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But it's also differences in their races too. Like it's darker Mexicans and it's lighter Mexicans. So they kind of feel like darker Mexicans are like the black of their people.
I mean,
just like it's light skin and dark skin blacks. It's the same with all of them, except for white people. White people are just white.
Well, if you want to go back to the whole everyone is like the same race, then I mean, of course, back way millions of years ago when you had, the Panacea, and it was just one landmass, then of course everyone was kind of sort of the same color. But, if you look at science and earthquakes, all that stuff, and tremors and how all that broke up the land and et cetera, and then it drifted apart, that's when the races more or less became what they are now. So yeah, we may have all commingled together at one point in time, but over these millions of years or thousands of years that the race is separated and things of that nature, you can't really all the way say without a shadow of a doubt that these Asians over here in Japan have any black in them. Maybe down the line they did. But as of the last 200, 300, 400 years, they've been to themselves. So to say that, we're all black, yeah, I mean, at some point in time we were. But as far as now, genealogy tells you that a very small percentage of people have black in them now. And what I'm saying, outside of
to speak to white people or white, I can understand that, but having close friends who are white and family, they identify themselves as French or English or German and things like that. I know, face value, especially from an African American perspective, it's all white, but they really do hang on to their origin in the sense of Europe and where their family's from.
Yeah, that's only because we don't know. It's like they only say African American because it's so many countries in Africa. We don't know exactly what we are. We don't know our history. They know theirs.
Yeah, no, that's fair. But I mean, with most of us, we're probably from West Africa, though. I mean, in all honesty, if you want to get into the whole transatlantic slave trade.
Yeah, but all black people weren't brought from Africa.
True. I'm
Native
just saying
Americans
African
are black
Americans.
Too. So everybody, I'm just saying, it's parts of Africa that just migrated over to the States before they were the States, and they were the natives, and everybody that was enslaved wasn't the people that came across on the boat. It was people that was already here that was enslaved too. So we don't know where we're from. It's a lot of black people that could be from the eastern part, Egypt.
No, that's true. I can say that according to Ancestry.com, I am from Nigeria. No, my ancestors are from Nigeria. I'm just being... So I'm like, my family is essentially the root story if you want to get technical, because it's like go from West Africa to the south and make your way to the north. So that's my family experience, at least.
Okay, so with that being said, and there's something in there that I did not know, which was, well, actually two things. First off, Ivo, I appreciate you sharing about the spreading of the tectonic plates and separating people and having to reemerge the cultures wherever they landed. But then also, D.Woods, I also appreciate understanding that you said Native Americans are black?
Yeah.
How is that? That's new to me.
Okay, just think about it like this.
Me also.
Civilization was made all in Ethiopia, pretty much. I mean, or Ethiopia or Egypt, one of those. So that's an African colony, right?
Right.
So that means these natives had to migrate from there to come to the States before it was named. And all of the Native Americans, they had their different tribes and all of that shit. So they're all of the same race, but it's differences because of their different tribes.
Okay, so
but
you're saying
the root of it all is they're black.
Okay, and just so I'm clear, so we're saying genealogy perspective, they all originated from a place of black people, correct?
Yes.
I just want to make sure I'm clear on that because that was something I did not know, so I appreciate that knowledge.
Where did you get this knowledge from?
Here we go. Here we go. Thinking Out Loud podcast. Let's go, D-Woods. Where did you get this
You
knowledge
said
from?
this came from Hidden Colors.
All right, and Hidden Colors, I believe, is it's a series of films. It's a web series by Tariq Nasheed.
Yeah.
So, just for your information, Delora, a little bit of research I've done. I know that in passing of the media that I receive, Tariq Nasheed is a quote-unquote pro-black representative. He's a spokesperson, an online personality, and he has done a series of films, web series, basically called Hidden Colors. And so he explores the depths of the origination of the black man, the black community, and he goes all the way back as far as he possibly can to provide evidence to show support for what D.Woods is saying. Now, whether you take that at face value and say, okay, it is what it is, or you're skeptical about it, that I leave up to you. But that I at least can agree with D-Woods where I understand where he got the information from, and I can co-sign that.
Okay.
Well, at some point, you kind of have to look at, okay, so I'm not sure if we said Nasheed or Rashid. I've heard of the video series.
Tariq Nasheed.
Okay. So Mr. Nasheed. So at one point, you have to find out and kind of fact check him and see, okay, archaeologically and forensic wise, what evidence do you really have? Like, did you speak to some genealogists who know about DNA sequencing to actually find out, yeah, this piece of bone, derived in this nation from this person and dates back this many million years. So this shows that. I'm not saying it doesn't because I haven't seen the web series. But at some point in time, that has to be done. Because I'm all for the whole pro-black thing. Don't get me wrong. Because the betterment of our people is the betterment of all people. But at the same time, you can't take things for, just because it's revolutionary and that it's, pumping up the cause without fact-checking it yourself. Not saying that Darren did. Not saying that, that D-Woods didn't do it. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying for the fact of discussion. Things like that have to be fact-checked.
No, and I agree with you 100%. I think what you're saying is if you hear information from a source, check your source. Correct?
Right.
So we could be told anything. It's the same. The analogy to that to me is slaves were taught Christianity by their slave masters. So that brings into question, is Christianity a valid religion to believe in, even though it was taught to you by your oppressor? So with that being said, and I'm not even going down that rabbit hole, I'm just saying I understand.
That's a deep hole.
No, I'm not going down that hole. I'm not. Nope. I'm just saying.
They taught it with misconception.
I'm co-signing what Ivo is saying, which is the fact that
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm just saying we always got to have questions, and if someone comes to you where they can't answer your question, then you got to start to back off and say, okay, I need to get some more research on my own because I can't find the source of the answers from you. So with that being said, we all gave.
But another thing though about the Hidden Colors thing, just so they would know.
Let's not give this
Tariq,
too much pub though.
Yeah, I ain't gonna give it to him. But Tariq don't do it by himself. He be with all kinds of African American historians, and he do be with the people that scientists and all of that. So his research is thorough. He be having people like Angela Davis and all of these historic black figures be all in there, plus the people that do the science behind it. So,
J-Lib, I'd like to answer the question because I didn't get a chance to. In terms of interracial dating, pros and cons, I see all pros just because we wouldn't be here if we didn't have interracial relationships throughout history. So I'm open to it, obviously. But the only way I see cons is if there's a lack of respect for each other's cultures. And ultimately, it's not something that you can stop, honestly, because people are in interracial relationships all the time. And I'm talking more than just black and white. I'm just talking in general.
What's a real pro, though?
Well, let's get to that. Hold on one second. So everyone gave their opinion as far as, in general, pros and cons of interracial relationships, not specific to the black culture, just in general. So now let's take it from a macro perspective, or a macro high level perspective, down to the micro perspective. What is it that makes it pro or con to the community of black people, because that is who we are all on this podcast. Ivo, obviously multicultural, but you still black as far as the societal norm would call you, correct?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, my my first bout with racism was, I believe I was 8 years old, and got spit at, not on, by a bus full of white kids. So.
Okay. That's one of the saddest things I've ever heard on the podcast.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna let
man,
you bring us down with
no,
that.
no. I'm just saying, but I've been, even though I might be fair skinned, it may
We
look
still
like I could
consider
pass
you.
for
We still
or
consider you.
anything.
Right, we
Definitely
still
black.
consider you black though. So with everyone on this podcast right now on the panel being black, let's get down to basically the nuts and bolts of, if we are saying as black people interracial relationships are pros or cons. We talked about it from a global level, but now let's talk about it to a specific cultural level. Now, it sounded like D.Woods, you had something to say about that.
I just don't see, like, what can a person of a different race give you that someone of your same race can't.
I don't think so. It depends on how you approach a relationship. So like when I was dating, I grew up in predominantly black environment. So in my mind, when I thought of my future,
I can vouch for that as well.
Yes. In my mind, my husband was going to be black and we were going to have Hershey Kisses children. Like that was my dream.
Hershey Kisses children.
But I'm saying that was
soft.
Those are my thoughts and how I envision my future. But I got exposed to different people when I went to college, and I got to know my husband. And my husband is one of the best human beings in my life, and it's not because he's white; it's because of the person that he is. And so I fell in love with him, and he fell in love with me, and therefore. We're together. Like I can be myself completely. Now, if he were brown, and he still had the same qualities, I would have married him too. He just so happened to be white. And so for me, it's about how you approach your relationships. It's like, do you automatically look for the color, or do you look for the humanity of the person?
That's a great quote. Do you look for the color? And I would kind of rephrase it, Delora, if you would let me. Do you look for the color, or do you look for the quality? Because the quality, it sounds like, of your husband is what drew your attraction to him and his attraction to you. It wasn't about race, ethnicity, socioeconomic status. It was just the quality that y'all gave each other as far as being good partners, correct?
And if we want to get into those categories, we had the same views on religion. We had similar backgrounds in terms of socioeconomic, in the sense of middle class or what have you. So we had all those things in common. So it's not like, the only thing that was different was, obviously I know what it's like to be black in America, right? But he's open to that, and he has learned a lot being with me for that. And that's what I'm happy for. It'd be different if I were to marry someone of a different race and they're completely closed off to that aspect of me, because that's still a part of me. I am black in America.
What does a person offer you that has to learn about your culture benefit you versus someone who already is of your culture?
Oh, you're asking me?
Yeah, because I'm saying
yeah,
from D-Woods' perspective.
I respect that.
Yeah, I'm saying like somebody, like, I guess I got to side with D-Woods on the question of what benefit does that have for you if you could have had someone who already is knowledgeable about the struggle and the advancement and the opportunity and the disadvantages of being a person of color in America. What was it that drew you to that person, or rather didn't draw you to a person of color already, so they don't have to learn it, but they already know it because they experienced it?
That's a great question. So yes, it is difficult sometimes when I have to explain my references to the color purple or something like that, right?
Wow, that is an amazing acknowledgement. Explain that. No, seriously, like that is something for people to understand.
We were watching the Carmichael show, and the final episode, Lil Ray's character brought home an older woman.
I didn't watch it yet. Please don't spoil it.
Oh man! But anyway, Well, I'm gonna have to give you a slight spoiler.
All right, go
but he
ahead.
brought home Suge Avery.
Okay.
And I'm like, that's Suge. And he's like, what? And I mean, I'm like, Color Purple. I guess it's just one of those things where it just comes with the territory. I mean, when you marry someone, outside your culture, right? So I didn't come across anyone who was Black, who was ready to get married, who had the same values and things like that, I was left trying to choose. Like, David was my person and is my person, and therefore, it comes with the territory. And it's not, I mean, I'm a Black person who never seen Love Jones. So, I mean...
See, you don't have to snitch on yourself, though. You don't have to snitch on yourself. Just, you're not well aware, and that's okay. But... I get what you're saying. I want to
I
give
got the classics under my belt, okay?
Okay.
Not all of them.
I get what you're saying about Suge Avery. I want to give Ivo a chance. Ivo, so you're a person who dates, right?
Right.
So as a person who's dating, so we got Delora who's married to a non-person of color.
5 years this year.
Nobody asked you that, but with that being said, we celebrate. Ivo, you're a person that dates people of any color, of any race, correct?
Right.
So with that being said, what is your perspective on interracial dating? Because literally the term interracial dating is you.
Right. So, I mean, just coming from just how I was raised, it was more or less like you never know who you're going to meet, who you can have a connection with, right? I mean, I've dated Black, Asian, Puerto Rican, Latin, Mexican, white, Brazilian,
wow,
pretty much everything. Pretty much everything. But let me tell you this though, because I've lived in other states where it was more diverse. So you're kind of hard pressed. Middle Eastern here. You're kind of hard pressed to find all that in Michigan, right? But in other states, it's not that hard to do. So basically, certain times in my life, I would have, I kind of want to date an Asian girl or whatever, or something like that. Or I'm in a certain area because I go to a lot of different festivals and things like that. So you will meet different people. So along those, meeting different people and kind of seeing how they live and their culture, I'm always just been curious about other people and how they do things and their values and et cetera. And just as far as this being well-traveled, the more well-traveled you are, normally the more open you are to new things and new people. So even if it was just networking, but as far as this interracial relationship, so getting back to the main point, right? So just from dating different races of women, I've come to find out, there's certain things that I like and certain things I don't like. And, being a little bit over 30 or whatever, sooner or later I'm going to want to settle down sooner or later. So why not test my hand and kind of see what's out there so that when it comes down time for me to settle down, I have a better idea of what I want instead of being handcuffed to one thing. Even though there's nothing wrong with one thing, it's just I'd rather have options when it comes down to.
That's damn. You just basically sold the whole argument. So I got to defer to my co-host, D.Woods. D.Woods, what you think about that?
I just don't understand. It's like Black people don't care. They just want to be free to do whatever they want, but don't care for the preservation of their culture or their race for their people. I
disagree.
Hold on, Delora.
I'm gonna have Black children.
Delora. Let him speak real quick because
I've never heard. Other than in my family, Black girls don't want Black guys to date like the white girls, like the sports dudes do. But I'm talking about a father figure in the family, or how other cultures, they arrange marriages with the same race. Arabic people don't want other other races in their shit. They hate when their girls with Black guys or
they want the bloodline to be pure.
If they're over in their country, they're shit outside of them, they could possibly get killed for it. So what I mean is, it's Black people just don't care about the preservation of their people, keeping their lines pure.
That is a point.
They want it. It's everybody wants to mix it all up now.
We also live in the United States of America. I mean, I think it'd be a little bit different if we had those strong ties to, the motherland, or like you use the Arabic examples, they are all around each other. And, there's other factors besides race that they don't want certain families to be with certain tribes and etc. So I just feel like in today's age, when it comes to interracial relationship in terms of the Black community in America, the whole point is to be able to have the freedom to do whatever you want. And so if that means, and I don't think that it has anything to do with not preserving your culture, because I am Black. I have always been Black. I love being Black. Even though I married a white man, it does not affect how people interact with me. I'm still a Black woman in America. So for me, when I raise my children, yes, they'll be biracial or what have you,
they're
but
Black too.
They're Black at the end of the day. And I'm going to raise them with the Black values that my Black mom and dad taught me. So to me, I still love being Black. I just so happen to marry someone outside of the Black race because I believe in the freedom of having that choice. And I also believe that if you want to go into labels, I label myself based off my faith, which is Christianity, and then being Black in America. And so my husband and I are both Christians, and we connected on that level. And then, everything else that follows after that.
But what y'all don't get to share is that he don't have to deal with the things that a Black person has to go through in America, and you do.
D-Woods,
so you kind of.
It's not a Black person; it's a Black man.
So sharing the struggle is important.
Well, I'm just saying the Black woman goes through the same thing as the Black man.
I disagree with that wholeheartedly.
I'm just saying her partner can't share those feelings with her. Like he can be there when she tell him stuff, but he don't really know. He just there to like be a husband, but he can't really. It's not on the same type of vibe if it's a Black man, because he really understands it.
And I'm gonna interject real quick, just from my own perspective, to co-sign with what D.Woods is saying. I'm married. There are certain things that I've even been able to call her from work, and I'll be like, damn, I just had this conversation with person X, and they were totally oblivious to the fact that they sounded not only racist, but ignorant and completely out of touch with the current culture. And she can read in my voice and what I'm saying, and she'll be like, babe, you know what? That's what it is. That's what we are. That's what we deal with. And she'll talk me off the edge from wanting to confront that person or to pull them to the side and have a personal conversation like, hey, my man, I don't really fuck with you for this. Like, my wife has dealt with, to D-Woods' point, and I was trying to segregate that, but there is a connection between what Black men and Black women go through. Like, if I come home and I tell my wife that I got pulled over, which is a true story, from turning too slow into a McDonald's years ago.
I mean, I can believe it.
Right.
I don't doubt that at all.
So when I tell her that, she already knows what it is, because she herself has a Black father. She herself has 2 Black brothers. She herself is a Black woman, so she understands that this country is not meant for us. The system is not meant for us. Well, rather, I would say the system is meant for us to not succeed. And that's something that we believe, so we have to work twice as hard to overcome those obstacles that are placed in front of us. Now, what that does is make our bond stronger because we jumping over these hurdles together. But the question would be to you, how do you feel jumping over those hurdles as a Black woman, but you have to explain to your husband the same hurdles that you're jumping over that he doesn't?
Well, I don't feel alone by any means. I feel like it's just, ask a Black man who's married to a white woman the same question, because I really feel like whenever you are with someone who is outside your culture, you're going to experience these things anyway. And so
that's true. That's why we have Ivo on the line. That's why we have Ivo here.
So I was waiting to interject as well.
This is also why I wondered, why is it a pro? Because if you have to do all of that explaining instead of it just being a mental,
but it's not all of that explaining. I mean,
look, people of any race can empathize, right? So it's a thing. It's apathy and empathy, right? So let's put it like this. So of course, if I'm black and I'm dating a Hispanic girl or Asian girl, they can kind of understand, right?
Yeah, especially
if they're Mexican or Latin or whatever, because they've been through prejudices here too. But if you want to turn the corner, turn the page to a white person, yeah, they may empathize, but then at the same time, they know 10 people in their family who are racist, right? So at one point in time, they've heard stuff come up. Right, they've heard stuff come up, or they said themselves. We've all had those moments where we say something about another race, like, well, whatever. It doesn't make us all the way racist, though. But at the same time, there is something to say, and I do agree partially with what D.Woods and what J-Lip said as far as having that camaraderie with your partner, right?
And I'm not denying that either, because I saw that with my own parents. So, but I'm just saying my day is not left explaining everything to my husband because we've been together for over 10 years. But I'm just saying, it comes with the territory when you're dating someone outside your culture, which is not a con for me. So it may be a con for you, but to me, I'm supported emotionally, physically, in all those aspects because he is my husband after all.
And really quickly, you can always turn a con into a pro, right? So let's say that because he really doesn't understand what being a black woman is, because she's not a black woman. But at the same time, he will understand it. So maybe that opens his mind up, it opens his friends' minds up, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the train keeps going down the track to where more people are being aware of the prejudices in America because they have a personal relationship with someone who has went through that. Whereas if we've never commingled, it's going to be really hard for people to understand one another when they haven't been down that road or know someone personally who has been down that road. So that's how you can turn the con into a pro, because people aren't really going to listen until they've actually seen it, did it, done it, been with someone who's been through it. You know what I mean? So that's how you could turn that.
That's a great point. That's a great point. I gotta agree with Delora on the fact that she experiences what she experiences with her mate. However, Delora, when you talk about kids, and this is kind of the final topic, but when it comes to children, do you feel like it's a benefit or a detriment to bring children into a world where they have a mixed parent society?
I'm going to say it's going to be okay. You're trying to say that anybody in an interracial relationship should have children because it'll be detrimental?
No.
No,
I'm never going to put you in that box.
Depends on where they live.
Well, that's socioeconomic, though. And I'm speaking specifically on the issue of race and ethnicity. And I think it'll be a learning opportunity for me as a mother, because I'm going to want to only teach them black things, but then I would have to understand that they are partially white. But I say that because I love being black. I love black culture. So I think it'll be fine, because you got people like Barack Obama. One of the comments that was said about his presidency with his ability to talk to America is because he had white people in his life, so he didn't look at white people the same way that a traditional black person, African-American person, looked at white people in America. So he had the ability to articulate a message to them that they actually got a chance to hook on to. And I'm not saying that he's the biracial angel by any means, but I'm just saying that, I'm going to have to open myself up to seeing how my kids navigate the world, and I'm going to provide them the tools, because we do live in America. So if they're looking brown and like a Halle Berry or something like that, I'm going to tell them that the world is going to view you as black. There's nothing wrong with being black, but these are the things you need to know. So I don't see it being a detriment, but I think it is going to be something that I'm going to have to learn when it comes to being able to being open. And so basically an obstacle.
I think it's going to be an obstacle because I grew up black. My parents are black, and all I know is black, black, black. But my husband is white, and he's not nearly as vocal as I am. But I have to. Not saying that I respect his views and traditions. That's not going to be a problem.
If you said that's not going to be a problem. I was going to pull your card if you said I have to respect his views.
No, but what I'm saying is I can't. I'm just saying it's going to be an obstacle from a parenting standpoint, but I don't think it's a detriment at all. I think any new life in the world is a blessing, because life is a miracle. I mean, I genuinely believe that. And so, no, I don't think it'll be a detriment by any means. It's going to be challenging, because all I know is black, but this kid is going to be part black and white, and I'm going to have to be, not hog everything with the blackness. That's pretty much what I'm trying to say. Like,
okay, and I respect
Well,
that. Go ahead, Woods.
No, I'm not saying that it's detrimental, but it is going to be an obstacle, especially for the kids, because you got to explain the social and the biological differences between the two, even though that's their father. Say if he's a white guy,
but race is it's a social construct, like in the sense of like the whole black and white thing. It'd be different if it was just strictly culture. So our culture is made up because we were working with nothing, because we didn't get a chance to know where we came from because of slavery. But to me, I don't see it being a detriment when you speak culturally. It's a detriment because we live in a society that focuses so much on race that's not even a real thing.
I said socially and biologically.
That's true.
Like how, because he was they're going to be black, right? So, yep. All right. So say you're in a hot place, and then your white husband has to use SPF 50 or whatever, and your kids don't because they're black.
Black people have to use sunscreen, though. Let's keep it real. Now, what's different is what would be different?
I never used sunscreen in my life.
Wow.
There is a need for black people to wear sunscreen.
There wasn't even a SPF 50 back in the day. It was. That shit was already made. Like, I mean, it had to be made in maybe the 19th or 20th century. That shit wasn't always around. Black people were always around. The sun is made for black people. Every organic substance needs the sun, water, and air.
Speak.
So I don't see a big deal with that, because the real difference is...
But what I was going to say socially is you got to have that black talk with your black children, and then they're going to be like, so this isn't for white people, and then they're going to look at dad like, yo, why is it different for us?
And then my husband will be able to articulate that, we live in a society that had a messed up past.
And then guess what? They're gonna meet their black friends who have a black father and a black mother, and then they gotta look at it like, what the fuck is going on? Like, why isn't my dad black?
I don't know, not at all. You got people like Jesse Williams out here still standing up for black rights, and his mama is all the way white. So I see the issue with teaching kids to be woke. Like, I really don't see that problem.
Having grown up, multiracial, right? And as a kid, there is certain aspects to both arguments, right? So
let me make sure we're clear. You're saying that you grew up multiracial, right?
Right.
Right. Okay,
so growing up like that, I seen both sides of it, right? To where, both of my parents can pretty much pass for anything at one point in time, and or grandparents may be white, things of that nature. So at some point in time, I've experienced feeling both sides of the story. It's times where I've been like, okay, why isn't, my grandparents on this side are dark black, and other grandparents on this side might be completely white. So I have to constantly kind of flip my train of thought. I'm talking about certain things, certain aspects like that. So kind of growing up like that, I kind of got both sides of it already. As far as I've had the black talk, I've had this is what you're going to go through, and then kind of figuring things out on my own. And also kind of getting the white aspect from it as, you're probably going to come across this. Most people that, when we're in a room by ourselves, you're going to hear, you never know the type of stuff that you're going to hear. And I'm like, wow, okay. So, that type of stuff opens your eyes. But at the same time, if my whole family was black, then I may not have had that insight to the white part. That might have been something that I just automatically thought, okay, that's probably how it happens. And at the same time, I do miss out on having just a black, totally black experience where I'm totally engulfed in it. But at the same time, I feel like that's not what life is about. When it comes down to it, I feel like life is really about venturing into areas and cultures that you don't know anything about. Not saying that you're not proud of where you come from and yours.
I respect that.
You can be very proud of your own culture.
Me too.
And then at the end of the day, the world is a really big place. You know what I mean? So the best thing to do, because you're not going to be a complete person until you know about other people. I don't care what anyone says. If all you know is about yourself and your people, that's really good. Hopefully you did a lot of community. But when it comes down to other people who may need the same type of help, or what if you did give them better information about it? How do you know they can't help you and your people out the same way that you're helping your people out, right? Or make things easier for you and your family, or maybe their kid may end up wanting to date a black man or black woman because they've met you and et cetera, and they may be a perfect match for each other. So that's why I feel like, having kids that are interracial, they're going to go through the same stuff. They're going to go through the awkward phase. They're going to go through the phase where they may look more white than black. They may pass for 5 different races. They're going to get called different things when they're in different places, or someone's going to get.
And that's very true.
Spanish too. They're going to get Spanish too, when they don't know a lick of Spanish, so they're going to go through that stuff. So
I
it's not
think this
necessarily
way
bad.
of thinking is dangerous.
Ivo, you dropped a lot of gems right there, and I hope that people that are listening right now really interpret and receive that message. The same thing with Delora. She's going to have an experience that she's prepared for. We have to give her credit for that. But D.Woods, go ahead and close it out for us. What you got to say?
I just think that way of thinking is dangerous for the black people. Like being acceptant to all of these other races is just going to wash us into... because black is black, whatever it makes, whatever it has a baby with is still black. It kind of doesn't, but it does. Like the number one objective for the white male is its race to be the dominant. They're always
of the black culture.
So when they infiltrate us, meaning our women or even the men, it isn't making us stronger. It's weakening our infrastructure. And with them, passing the wealth down to them, we're just so accepting of everybody else and not ours. It's like black men don't like, once they get successful, they don't like black women. The black women are turning away from the black men and going to other races because all it is out here is being a negative image portrayed of us. So everybody wants to go off into different places and not make our unit stronger.
I agree. I have to say that with the examples that D.Woods gave, as far as you have a lot of black successful people go to other races as far as finding their companionship and building a family with them, and then you also have black women who feel like, I hate to say, but the quote is, niggas ain't shit, so they go and they fuck with other races. It leaves the authentic black man, the black man who is good, who is loyal, who is honest, who is God-fearing. It leaves him alone to be like, well, what do I do?
So those are making really large assumptions, though. Like,
no, they're not assumptions, Delora. If I'm saying,
but like for me, I had never dated anybody white in my life until my husband, who I so happened to marry. Like that, it's not like I was seeking out a different race. Like,
right. I'm not saying you are. I'm saying in general.
I'm just saying, like, I do think we have to give some people the benefit of the doubt when it comes to their environments and things like that. And
I'll give you that. Give some people the benefit of the doubt, but there's a majority of people, and I guess the media portrays this, which makes it more prevalent, but there is a media portrayal of, there are a lot of black athletes, black recording artists, black, any type of success, and I'm saying athletes and recording artists because that's what we've ingrained in our culture as being successful. Those people don't mess around and then get married to another woman of color. However, there are also black women who say that niggas ain't shit. Like the whole phrase niggas ain't shit, and you say that the word nigga is derogatory towards a black man, but that's what people say about us.
I don't know those girls, but okay.
I'm saying I know them. I've met them. I'm friends with them, and I've dated them. And so
we all know them.
Right. So with black women who say niggas ain't shit, I'm about to get me a quote unquote white boy who's going to treat me with a level of respect or a level of even just honor that they feel like they can't get from a black man. That does destroy the community, because with me, if my wife was not to be with me, I don't know where I would be, because I'm not looking for nothing else but someone understands my condition. That's what it comes down to. And that's why I agree with D.Woods for the most part on understanding the condition of what we experience in this world that's not meant for us. This lifestyle in America is not meant for us, and it even goes global. But in the same respect, I also say with Ivo, you don't know what you don't know. So until I leave America and go to Europe and go to Asia and go to Africa and go to all these other places and experience these type of people, I can't really have an accurate opinion about how those relationships will be. And then again, as a third closure to you, Delora, you took a chance, which I feel like is really a chance on being with someone who was of not your same race, but they fulfilled every part of you that you wanted to be, and they satisfied that, and you decided to spend your life with that person and build with that person. And for that, I respect you for that. The only question is, at the end of the day, my only issue is with the kids. What does that mean for the children? And I think we discussed that thoroughly. We discussed that it's going to be hard. Even Ivo was a product of that. So with that being said, it's going to be a struggle. It's going to be an obstacle, but it's something that can be overcome. I agree with D.Woods. I'm not necessarily going to put my kids through that same obstacle. However, I do not shame someone else for finding love where they found their love at. And for that, that's why I love you, Delora, for coming on the podcast today and having a conversation. You are brave with that, and we appreciate you. So I thank you for that. Ivo, I'm about to close this shit out. So, Ivo, you got anything to say before I close it out?
I was trying to think. Well, for the most part, everything is pretty much said. I think I pretty much got my point across pretty well. Everything's pretty much been covered on my end.
That's a personal. You didn't get shit across. I don't understand that.
Wow.
That's my dog. That's my dog, Ivo. You know I'm fucking with him.
Weird.
That's my dog, Ivo. Ivo representing what town?
Hey, man. Detroit.
Southwest. D.Woods, my co-host, my special guest this evening. Man, you got anything to say before we close it out, bro?
Yeah. Just my views. My views on relationship has got to do with love of self, and your mate's supposed to be your reflection. I just can't see my reflection of someone who's not the same as me. But I don't hate it.
I do love myself. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
Delora, I'm gonna give you the last one. That's why I did this strategically. Let D.Woods get it out.
I'm not saying anything. Like I don't hate interracial dating. I just feel like there's supposed to be a pride between a person and who they are. And if I love myself, the person I love has to be the same as me. That's just how it is for me.
As a side note, I just want to put it out there. My man D.Woods is a father of two beautiful black daughters, correct?
Yes.
And he is also the father of those two daughters with the woman that he's with, which he will marry at some point, correct?
Yes.
So I got to give all respect. I got to give all respect to my bro. And then with that being said, so we got D.Woods out the way, we got Ivo out the way. Delora, you're the guest. That's why I strategically let you have the last word before I close this shit out. Delora, what you got to say? Go ahead.
Well, thank you so much, J-Lib, for having me on the show. I really appreciate this conversation. All the arguments or point of views I've heard before, and I appreciate the discussion that we had today. I just want to say that we're humans. We are all the same. I feel like race is a social construct. I believe that if someone loves and respects you and values you the way that you always wanted to be valued, and they so happen to be something that a different color as you, does not mean that you're letting your race down by any means, because I feel like there's still, you can still pass on a sense of self, especially in terms of the African American experience to your children, just to love and respect it, because that's to me what the ultimate argument is when it comes to Black people in this country. We are human beings. We are not property. We have fathers and children and mothers, and we're not just objects that you can shoot down and devalue. So to me, as long as you're able to pass that along to your children, the value of Black people, of African American culture, then the next generation is much better shape than they are today. So
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we got Ivo in the building representing Southwest Detroit. We got D.Woods representing the West Side, correct?
Yes, sir.
What up, Doe? And then, of course, Delora representing Cincinnati by way of Detroit, correct?
Yes.
And with all that being said, we love y'all. We appreciate you. Think It Out Loud podcast. And we out.
This episode of Thinking Out Loud was executive produced by Jay Lip. Music provided by Daisy Smith. Artwork and logo provided by Rob D. And sponsored by you, the people. We thank you for listening.